Bryan, Defiance, and Napoleon. And I've been a diabetic since 1964. I take one shot a day, but I take care of myself. But I would walk in, and everybody that I worked with knew I was a diabetic because I told them that. I wasn't afraid of it. But anyway, I would walk into these restaurants, and nobody has health insurance in the back room. All the clerks.
Oh, right. I worked restaurants.
Yeah,
nobody,
and you know what it's
right,
like. So
right,
anyway,
right.
So I would always have my health care, my blood checker with me. And after a while, I'd say, George, I knew George, he used to work at the country club here in Defiance. And George was a diabetic, and he got one of his toes cut off. I said, George, are you taking care of yourself? He says, I can't afford it, because you know each test is $1 for a strip to test your blood. So I was going around while I was working. I mean, I was crazy for doing this, but I would check all
You're checking their blood sugars.
I was checking all these blood sugars in restaurants, and they would call me Dr. Mark, and it was so nuts. But I had a good time doing it, because it would check it, and it would see if they were doing okay, and then I would give them an idea of where the hell they were, because they had no idea where their sugar was.
Right.
And I'd see them eating chocolate and pies, and I says, what are you doing? You're diabetic.
Right.
He said, so what? But that just shows you, I just laugh and say, only in America. I mean, it's just so nuts.
Thank you.
I like the things that you've been saying today, but one thing that's bothered me is a lot of your answers start off with what my church says.
Yeah. It does. They do.
Where's your stance with separation of church and state?
I have a very strong belief in separation of church and state. I believe that I don't believe in prayer in school. I mean, there always will be, the joke, there always will be prayer in school as long as there's tests and these kinds of things. My kids go to the public schools. I'm very strong about that. This is my influence, okay? This is what forms me as a human being. And I believe that we all have formative influences, whether it's our church or whether it's, I've got friends who are humanists, and so they have perhaps favorite authors or people that they look up to that have formed their beliefs. This is what has formed my beliefs. My church would never dictate to me what I believe, or how I vote. I would vote my conscience. It just so happens that I selected this church body because it reflects my conscience. Kind of back to the same idea of what corporations would you take money from? Those corporations that I would feel comfortable supporting. I'm a member of this church because I feel comfortable with the statements with where they are on most positions. Not on every one, but on most.
Are there any stances that the church takes that you disagree with?
Let me think about it for a minute. This is a really good question. I mean, I'm thinking about political stances.
What was the question?
Are there any stances that my church takes that I disagree with? I'm thinking about that. Did I ever disagree with anything here? Not to put you on the spot. Yeah. Well, I will say that it took them a while to get to the. When I was in seminary, they didn't allow for same-sex partners to be. Their stance at that time, when I became a pastor, was that homosexuals could be ordained as clergy, but they had to remain celibate. I had a problem with that. I struggled with that. I had many friends in seminary who were homosexual in orientation and would say to me, well, you get to have a partner, and I don't get to have a partner. And I want to have someone I can spend my life with. And so in 2009, the church changed that. So for a long time, I disagreed with the church on that, but then they came to see that I was right.
Now you're the leader.
So, yeah, I mean, there are a few things. It depends on the congregation. I mean, there's sometimes most of the congregation. Okay, here's one that I don't agree with, but this is not a political thing. The church's, well, I guess the church's stance is all right, but my congregation's stance, Holy Communion is something that our church says anybody, any age, anyone, you come up to the table, you want to take Holy Communion, you get it. Doesn't matter who you are, where you've been, what membership you are, anything. You come up to the table, you bring up a child that's 1 year old and they can take Holy Communion. That's the stance of our national church body. My congregation they want you to be a little bit older. They want a child to be 8 years old because they feel like you can't understand what's going on until then. So that's something I disagree with a little bit with my own congregation, and they know that, and we've talked through it, and I understand their reasons and they understand mine, and we go on. I mean, we dialogue, like this, right? I mean, we're not always going to agree on everything, but we're going to dialogue, and I'm going to listen and learn. And I really feel like tonight I've learned a lot. I mean, some of the issues you brought up are things that I've been aware of, but haven't been front and center for me. The abortion issue has been front and center because that's been brought up lots, but some of the other issues that are more nuanced haven't been. So I appreciate that, and I feel like this is how I learn, how we learn together to be in a conversation. We've got like 2 minutes left. Does anybody else have any final closing pressing issue that they need to share? Are we ready to get to cookies?
That I just want to say I'm very thankful that you did invite us and that people could talk. I mean, I would get phone calls from LADA, and they would take your question and then put you on hold, and you would have to listen to the same thing he's saying over and over. It was like they only, and my questions never were allowed to be asked.
Right.
I never was allowed to have my question asked because they want to know in advance what
Right.
it is, then you're on hold. So you never really get to talk to him. You only get to hear the same old stuff over and over without questioning him at all. And so I just want to say I really appreciate this one.
Thank you.
Those people who are still going to the polls and voting for the name.
You have to talk.
Yeah.
You have to talk a lot. And like I said, we'll be out doing this, but you talk and you say, meet her, talk to her, come out to the town halls.
That goes without saying.
But, you know, I mean, that's the only way we can do it, is talking. And you know, that awful thing too, giving money. I mean, making donations to the campaign so I can send out flyers and do this stuff, and, you know, so we can do things like this event tonight. I mean, it costs, you know.
Well, Lada got his from no.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we kind of forgot that.
Yeah, well, the whole town has forgotten that.
Your website will continue, which is a good thing.
Yeah, and share it. Share that website. Push it out. Let people know. Say, go ahead and watch. Take a look. Find me on Facebook. I have a lot of Facebook friends here tonight. You know? Yeah, exactly.
Your robocall worked too.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, I got one today.
Good. All right. There you go. All right. I was sitting in my office in Bowling Green doing it like, oh, I said the wrong word again. I have to make sure it says 6 o'clock. All right. Yes, go ahead. I'll let you know. First of all, but before we go, I just want to say thank you again. And just, this has been great. I really, really, really appreciate you coming out and being a part of this. This is how we make change happen. So thank you for being a part of it. And now, don't run away before Evan talks.
Yeah, please, if you've got anything further, write it on there. We'll get back to you. Make sure to put contact information on here. If you want to help out the campaign, right here, this middle section, just circle what you can do. If you want to introduce Angela to any groups you're part of, or anybody, social groups, professional groups, anything. We're going to be at Coffee and Beach in Finley on the 16th at 6 o'clock talking about flooding. Maybe. And that's what we talked about, but it'll probably be like this again. But if you have any questions or want anything follow up from the campaign, put it up here on these lines, but please, let's have your contact information. If you put a question down and no contact information, don't get mad because we didn't get back to you. So please fill that out. You can just leave it on the chair, and thank you all so much for